I mean, I used to have an hairdresser when I was before. Video. I'm glad that he's feeling better now. That's good. That's good.
All right, we're going to get started with our Oregon City Arts Commission meeting for Thursday, February 15th, 2024 at 7:05 PM. First thing we'd like to do is a call to order. If we could have roll call, please.
Terrific. Karen Burrig.
Here.
Tima Carlson.
Here.
Daria Loy.
Here.
Emma Lugo.
Here.
Choir. Here. Rebecca Sierra.
Here.
Okay. Amanda Alwine has an excused absence, as does Josh Planton. And we'll see if I've not communicated with Trieste today, so thank you all for being here tonight.
All right, have we had time to review the agenda for today? All right, if someone can please make a motion to adopt the agenda.
I make a motion.
Do you have a second?
Yeah, second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Our agenda for February 15 is approved. Our approval of minutes. I don't know if we've had a chance to,
Have people had a chance to look at the minutes from the 18th?
I couldn't open it.
do we have a
Couldn't open it?
printout available of it?
Let's see. I can go ahead and make a couple extra copies.
Or maybe share it on the
Oh, well,
computer
there's an
system?
idea.
Is that-
I'm gonna- in order for you all to see it on the monitors in front of you, is that something that gets shared through?
I can see you right now.
see what you're doing right now.
So we can see what I'm doing right now. Well, that's easy then. Well, then there we go. That's easy. Okay. Can you all see
Thank
that?
you.
Yeah.
So we'll just take a couple moments to review, and if any changes are needed, if you could please.
I'll scroll down to the presentation. The primary conversation was our presentation with Trieste and Michelle Lee. It feels like a long time ago, doesn't it? We were all ice storm and. Let me know when you're ready for me to go on to the next page. Okay to go to the next page?
Yep. And can you scroll back to the last page down at the bottom? It just says,
Missing something.
it says Anne, under C, Anne asked for clarification on the selection process for the,
Oh, for the replacement sculpture.
okay. Oh, okay, so it's just, right.
No, there's a words missing there.
Any other changes? All right, do we have a motion to approve the minutes for January 18th with the requested changes?
I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay.
Thank you, everybody. That was a good way to do it.
All right, next is public comment.
I did not receive any public comment prior to today.
Okay. And then we have a presentation from Miss Kathy Rowe. I'm sorry, is it Rao or Rowe? It's Rowe. Rowe, I apologize.
All right, so the overview for my presentation. So I started with a Public Works document that included 138 art pieces. That was just my starting point for the assessment. And you'll see that I've gone beyond those pieces because there's been more that has been added, more new art has been added, and other art that was not initially included was found. The majority of this presentation is going to focus on the sculptures and murals in the city. My primary background is in murals, so that's where I'm going to be the most detailed. Something to keep in mind is that in the past 10 years, we have lost 5 pieces of public art. And there's a culture and economic impact to that. I will also talk about my recommendations for where to go from here. Next slide. So starting with sculpture, because that is where Public Works started, and just going numerically, sorry to be so orderly. So this was the first listing for the Public Works, Crescent Moon Rising. It does not need anything really except cleaning by a professional who knows how to do marble cleaning. It is better to have it not cleaned because it is such a reactive material. So if we choose to clean it, it needs to be done by someone who knows exactly what to clean it with. Next slide. Here are 2 other pieces that just need their regular cleaning. There was a cleaning schedule listed in the Public Works document, but I don't know where they are in terms of their schedule, and it's due. They're both due for their cleaning.
I could clean Ride again. It's like right in front of my house. So that would be easy for me.
Yeah, there's just biological material, meaning moss, that's towards the bottom portions. Ride Again has just some darkening areas where there's spots for dirt to collect. So it really doesn't need much. And I think it actually has it listed as power washing in the Public Works document.
I'll do that and see if
All right, next slide, please. This is the sculpture that is in the most need of help. And hold a second while I. So there is a lot of damage on the top surface of this mosaic bench. And it's had regular use and abusive use that has made the top cracked and chipped like this. So it does need repair of some kind because somebody's gonna get cut or they're gonna catch their clothes. Where I am pointing in the top right-hand corner, you can see how there's like sharp edges. It's digging into my finger right there. And also, you can see the scuffs of where a skateboard has come and done damage to the top of that. It just happens to be the perfect height and size for such activities. So I would highly recommend having it repaired, preferably by the original artist if possible. And she's listed in my report. But also there should be something maybe placed on top of it to help protect. I don't know exactly what, but I know that there are these little brackets that are placed in certain places to prevent just this kind of thing. So maybe that's all that would be needed.
Yeah.
Could I take some kind of a coating, like a poly, I don't know. just
An acrylic
a-
resin
yeah.
type coating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would, that'd be something to converse with the original artist about. I think that's a potential solution, yeah. Right, next slide, unless anybody else has questions, okay. This is at the top of the elevator. There are these series of holographic photographs, and the frame portion at the top, there's these composite frames, and they have had, so they have chipped and cracked in many places just from regular use, from its position. It gets a lot of heat, moisture, cold, it has all of this stuff, and the composite material just cannot take the kind of conditions. And it's getting people like leaning on it, sitting on it. It is also at a height that the public can sort of abuse. But at this point, you have little spots where kids can put their fingers. They can shove stuff down in there. And this is a place where kids are there all the time.
Is there a better material that would be more sturdy that you could think of if we were to replace?
Public Works listed that they were considering wood. And I think it's potentially a good idea because I don't know where you would even find this composite material to replace it on a regular basis.
Yeah.
But wood, I feel like there are enough people in Public Works who know how to cut a piece of wood.
Yeah.
So that just seems like a better option. It's going to be cheaper in the long run and probably more durable as well.
If Public Works is considering wood, is that something we need to follow up with them, or is that, like, where was that conversation? Have they just,
I'd have to look back at the Public Works document and see if it was like they were hypothesizing, if I remember. They were wondering if wood would be a better option. And the more I thought about it, the more I was like, yes, it would definitely be a better option.
thank you.
All right, this bust, it has a lot of moss on the rock, which needs to be removed, but it's a natural boulder, so I don't really find that it's not something that's immediate attention required. The thing that I did find funny about this is that it is John McLaughlin looking out onto Willamette Falls, and his view is totally blocked by trees. So it's like, what does that say about us and our stewardship of his memory if we create this thing for him to look out upon the falls and then we block it with trees? I don't even know if it's possible to trim the trees, but it was just something I found humorous, and I wanted to pose the question. All right, next slide. So I think I wrote in the report that Moontrap, which is probably one of, if not the most valuable piece of public art that Oregon City owns, that I thought that it had a crack or a crease in this highlighted area. And it was really bugging me, so a few days ago I went like right up to it and took a picture. It is just a gnarly scuff. So it just needs to be cleaned, thank goodness, because I think repairing that would have been very sad to have to do. Okay, so next slide.
I do want to point out one other thing about Moontrap. The furthest over, all the way to the left, the last letter to the left, there was a car that kind of hit it, and we got a call here at City Hall. There was, I guess it was originally installed by the Rotary, and
Yes.
the Rotary we're considering, because it's just slightly detached now, not by much, but they were considering trying to identify funds to maybe reapply it or reattach it. So no action was ever taken, but that's something to think about too.
Is it supposed to be letters?
They look like letters, but I think it's just shapes.
The original artist is not known for doing letters. He's known for doing like monolithic type art. And he is now passed, and he has a lot of other public art in the Pacific Northwest. If there is anything that needs repairing, there is an artist that the city has worked with recently called Ben Dye. I think that's how you say his name. And he would probably be a very good resource because he also does metalworking, not necessarily on a similar scale, but close enough. Large scale sculpture for the city. All right, next slide, I think. So here are two more that I believe just need cleaning. Future Flow, which is just outside. It seems to always have webs on it, but they probably get knocked down by the wind. I was trying to tell if there was some corrosion in the connections. I really can't tell without getting up on a ladder. So if it was cleaned, it might be easier to tell what's going on if it needed anything. Willamette Compass, I think, is a piece that gets overlooked quite a bit. It is just outside the old courthouse, and it kind of sits right under a tree. It is about the same color as the tree, and when the tree has leaves on it, you cannot see any of the top portion of the statue. So it is my recommendation that it potentially gets relocated to someplace that it can be appreciated better. I have even talked with Diane Alves of the Clackamas County Artists Coalition, and she really liked the idea of it being associated with a different county building. Not necessarily the new courthouse, but another county building, because the piece is the entire Willamette Valley in its representation, and not just Oregon City, although there is a panel or two that is primarily Oregon City. So that'd be something to think about, how we might either relocate it or give it better prominence, because that stupid tree.
Owned by the city or owned by the county?
It is owned by the city. It is on the city sidewalk right in front of the old courthouse. So the murals that are in need of restoration, there are 4 murals that really need restoration. The picture here is from the Joseph Meek mural, which is the one we're going to talk about first. It has some obvious damage from being hit by a vehicle of some kind. So go to the next slide. So this is the whole mural. It sits on the corner of East 99, McLaughlin Boulevard, and 6th Street. And it kind of wraps around this curved corner of what is the Elks Lodge building, I believe. It was painted in 1995. And it's very faded. There's, I do not believe this wall has been touched up at all in the 30 years that it's been there. So there is a little bit of like pitting and chipping and things happening with the wall, but it's nothing huge. There's no major flaws with the wall. So potentially this could be a good candidate for repair and restoration because all of the information of the mural is still here. Like the plaque, the Joseph Meek plaque, all of the information is still legible, it's still there. On that plaque, you can see where maybe there was somebody came along with some pen or something, some graffiti. It looks like it's been scrubbed quite a bit. So there's lots of little things like that. I also have in my recommendation that it should probably have some better protection from the traffic, because I don't know if this is the first time this has happened or if those are lots of scuffs from many times. There's like a temporary looking barricade that it looks like Public Works put up. It says something like closed to pedestrians. But it'd be nice to see something that was more permanent if you chose to preserve this. Could we go to the next slide? Let me just make sure.
So that circle,
Yeah, that circle is a tire that rubbed up against the wall. And you can see the natural, what would be like the natural degradation of the wall in the right-hand picture underneath the tree. Just, there's little bits of paint that have chipped off from just natural wear. But the content of this mural is also something that is worth talking about. When considering whether or not to restore this mural, purposely destroy it by painting over it, or replacing it with a new mural design, the building owner group should be consulted and considered. I'm just reading because I spent a lot of time getting the words just right to talk about this. What do the building owners and tenants want to express to the community? Does this mural accurately express their values? Does it accurately express the community's values? Would a different piece of art serve their purposes better? And we could probably go to the next slide. Where's that? So this is the study that was made to paint the mural. This is in storage, so it is like down the hall in storage. So you can see how bright the original was, how crisp it was. It's quite a difference. We go to the next slide. So on either side of this mural, there are some significant, lovely walls that you could expand upon this mural and change the narrative. I think if you painted over this mural, you would have backlash. I think if you changed the content of it, editing anything, I think that would also be seen as a backlash thing, unless it was the building owner's desires to do that. I mean, that's their problem then. But there are these beautiful walls you could expand upon this mural and bring it up to date to what our current community would like to see. It's just dirty. Those are spider webs. Those are little spider web collections that gather dust.
So
It does.
yeah, so is that the wall in good condition? Like, does it need
Yeah.
prepping? Is good condition for
It's good.
receiving a new mural?
It's good condition. It would need a coat of primer.
Okay, perfect.
Right, and this is my estimate as to what it would probably cost for a restoration of just the mural portion that's there, not an expansion, just a restoration.
the thing about that mural is that it's in this weird place where basically nobody sees it.
Yeah.
I mean,
I got-
I see it when I go for walks, but you can't walk very far over there because of how the traffic is. And it's not part of the city where anybody walks to. I mean, the scuffs are there because people park there because they're going to something at the Elks Lodge. And I don't know. I mean, I'm trying not to say anything because there's a lot of stuff to go through and I don't want to like waste
I would
everybody's
really love
time
this to be a discussion.
with my opinions, but I'm just, anyways.
I did do a little bit of public outreach, and this was one of the murals that, like, someone commented and said, I had no idea that any of these murals was there except for the Meeks mural. Like, they
Yeah.
drive by the Meeks mural every day.
Yeah, people see it.
So
I mean,
they
that's
they
true.
do see it
In
when
their
they
car.
drive past it.
Yeah.
Because it is a commuter space.
Just like the one inside the White Rabbit, yeah, that's true.
It's not a walking space, it's like people drive past it.
Thank you.
Right, next slide. So the Hop family photo mural was painted in 1994. I think it is in surprisingly good condition. It is fading a little bit, but it's relatively minor. And the issues with this mural are more like chipping and cracking around the points where the panels are butting up against each other and where the panels have been mounted to the framework that is behind the piece. Overall, it is really well put together. It's surprisingly flat. So I don't think this needs immediate work, but it should be put on your soon list.
What side of the building?
This faces the east. It's the,
Towards the intersection.
yes,
So that lot next to it.
That
I
empty lot.
understand that might be developed
Yeah.
one day with like a 6-story structure. And can that be relocated or is that painted on?
there is a potential that this could be relocated. And that would be an excellent time for a restoration to happen.
I just can't believe anybody put a 6-story thing right next to the train right there. It's like,
What?
who on earth is gonna? Yeah,
Is somebody trying to do that right now?
we've been talking about it for a while.
They've been talking about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
There's that, yeah, it's, as Emma just said, it's been discussed but there's no immediate plans to move forward with it.
One of the things that's so amazing about this mural is the artist's use of glass. I mean, creating the illusion of glass. I see this
Yeah,
mural
it's
all the time.
Really beautiful.
And it's so good. I mean, the
It is very
artist
well done.
Really, yeah.
And the fact that it was created in a single day by a team of artists that were overseen by Larry Kangas. Yeah. There's a lot of texture. If we go to the next slide, you'll see on the right-hand panel, there's a lot of texture in the bricks there. So much that they actually are beginning to accumulate moss, like real bricks.
What are the panels made of? Like,
I am not sure.
okay.
I could hypothesize that it is a sign board material. It's what I use. And if that's the case, they're holding up very well. And it looks like the primary issue is where they put nails into it. If you make a contact through the front, you're making a point of weakness, really. The paint around is going to crack and it's going to start cracking and peeling eventually. That's where the problems are going to start. They're somewhere in storage. There's supposed to be a companion piece, a study similar to the Meeks mural, but I believe it is supposed to be smaller. I did not locate that one. I went into the storage area here, but I did not poke around because I did not want to damage anything. It is not optimal. the storage situation for exploratory, yeah. Okay, we can probably go on to the next slide. All right, so this is my estimate for what a restoration of that mural would cost. All right, the Dr. Forbes Barclay mural is the most degraded mural. And it is also, sadly, on one of the city's most degraded walls. I don't see any way to save this mural. The wall is that far degraded to me. While you're seeing the whole thing, you can see that it is very faded to the point where I think a lot of passersby don't even know the content of the mural. They see there's an old guy on one side, there's some other people in the middle, and a couple on the other side with maybe a horse. Like, I don't think they know what the content is. And if it were restored, then they would probably go, ooh, I don't know if I like that. And I have a picture of what it originally looked like later on. But if we could go to the next one, we'll be able to see the damage a little bit better. I was able to go and get some pictures with better lighting so that you could see how far some of this damage goes on this wall. That it is, I don't think there's a way to repair this mural without, because the wall just needs so much work.
Yeah, sometimes there's something kind of nice when you go to a town and there's painting, signs, whatever they're on walls, and they're from different eras in the town's history. I mean, sometimes there's a value in just keeping something as it gets older. Just, it's, it reflects the time
Yeah.
when somebody did something.
I am surprised, though, that these are all painted. They were all older.
Yeah.
I'm very surprised at that.
I think it did not say this in the Public Works file, but I think that these were during the original Oregon City Art Commission period, because it seems to be like there were about 5 or 6 murals, and they were all right in there in 92, 93, 94, 95, 96, something about in there. I don't know if that matches exactly with the old Arts Commission, but I think it's close. Okay, so we could probably go to the next slide and see some more cracking and the fun degradation of the wall. And this is the original study. It was very brightly colored. And the content's like, oh, okay, so that's what that is. Huh.
Yeah, his foot amputated.
So I believe Dr. Forbes Barclay was the city's first coroner.
Yeah.
But he was,
Possibly a corpse? Is that?
it's possibly a corpse.
Okay.
And I could be wrong, but I think the gentleman in red might be his Native American assistant. I could be wrong. I am, who, there's some controversial, was it a consensual, not relationship, a consensual situation? Was he being paid appropriately for his position as like a physician's assistant? Anyway. So there's all sorts of things like that in some of these old murals.
There was a morgue downtown at one point, wasn't there? Like in the basement of,
yes.
yeah.
Is next to the building next to the Armentinger house. Apparently haunted.
Ghost stories.
Yay.
All right, the OC Bridge mural is just across the street from City Hall. I don't know its exact date. It probably was written on the mural and it has faded because this whole mural is pretty heavily faded. we could go to the next slide.
Didn't it recently get repainted? Like really recently?
Got repainted?
Yeah. Yeah, since I've moved here, been here 5 years, I remember seeing it worked on.
I think it was probably retouched because there are some very bright greens and teals and things. There were some bright colors. I was very surprised to see, considering that everything else looked very sepia. But there's a waxy effect, and I don't know if this is a coating. Or if this is a natural fading process. It's kind of hard for me to tell. It could be a coating issue.
Would Public Works have information about it being touched up or coated recently? Like,
They should.
they should?
But it was not in the file that I had.
Okay. Something was done to it, I remember.
Because it could be that got coated with some material that made the deterioration, the fading even worse.
Yeah.
Yes. And this is a little bit of a problematic mural in my mind because it appears that it was painted on paper and then applied to the building like wallpaper. If you see on the right-hand picture, if you see in the right-hand picture, there's like there's a very crisp white line. That is the edge of a paper, as far as I can tell. So it kind of makes cleaning it a little bit more complicated. Like the cleaning, if you keep on taking coatings on and off, cleaning it, reapplying things, you're always going to have what is essentially pulp in between the paint and the building that is not ideal, at least for long term. If we go to the next slide, you'll see an extreme close-up of how these papers overlap and kind of have little wrinkles and things. I was very surprised at how well, like, you could see brush strokes in some of these spots. But if it was touched up recently, that would make sense. You would see, like, oh yes, very crisp, thin, like where the brush was. So. We could go to the next piece if people are ready. All right, so this panel here, I think, was something that was printed out, like with ink, and has just completely faded away because ink is not light fast. The kind of ink that a printer uses is not light fast, and it fades very quickly. So this probably had all kinds of wonderful information about exactly when it was painted and how this is meant to represent 100 years ago. So it's approximately what I'm guessing. This is like a centennial painting done in 1995 or whatever. But I have no idea because it's all gone.
Is the El Kango or whatever that says, is that person? Still?
Larry Kangas is no longer alive.
Oh, Kangas. Oh, that, okay. Got it.
There is also a pretty wicked scratch on it that's about 4 feet long. And if this is paper, then that's a problem.
Seems like a candidate, not really a good candidate for restoration. He seems like it would be a huge amount of effort and money, and then it might still not last.
Was the study painting done of this before?
This one does not have a study painting.
Oh, bummer. Were there good documentations and photos when it was first installed?
I don't even have the date of when it was first installed. Public Works could have more somewhere. There could be something that I don't have, of course. So I actually thought it as the best candidate because it doesn't have a study done of it, and it is fading. There's some kind of weird waxy business going on, and there is damage.
If we were to restore it, could we possibly like take photos of it, scrape it off, and then like repaint it on, from like basically redo it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like
is that,
taking off the paper, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think the paper is a concern. I mean,
Yeah.
if you paint, it's gonna history
the same
repeat
thing.
itself. Yeah, 5
So-
years from now, you know.
When I restored the red trolley mural, there was a lot of damage to that, and I had to document everything and like scrape away a lot of what was left even before I patched everything and had it and repainted it. So that can be done. I don't know what would be involved in removing the paper.
Yeah.
I hate removing wallpaper.
There'd probably be like some serious chemical stripper, like paint stripper, like.
Probably,
Yeah.
probably. And then you would have a spot that, like, any layers of paint underneath that
Yeah.
from previous paintings of the building, that would come off too, like how, it'd be very odd. But that would be an option.
What would you recommend if we were restoring this?
If it was a documentation and a removal, I think it would cost more than what I listed. And the next slide, I think, is my estimate. Yeah, I think I way underestimated the cleaning and repair initially on this one.
And this would be like to keep the surface, the undersurface the way it is and just
Yes.
restore.
Yeah.
And then what is your estimate in terms of how long, if we were to go with this, how long it might make it? You know what I mean? Given the surface that is built on. Because I mean,
It's lasted 30 years, and the paper seems really well adhered this long. I think it has at least 15 years more to it. There are like minor cracks that can be seen under the paper and things like that where it's hard for me to say. But I would say 15 years more.
if we were to go ahead with the restoration.
Yes, and keep the paper on the wall.
And who would, I mean, so far we've probably come across over $100,000 in estimates. I mean, who's paying for this if we did anything? I mean, we only have 40,000.
yeah.
Well, not necessarily. I mean, is this money that could come out of Public Works or?
Yeah, that would be a conversation we would need to have. I think, we can talk about what we want. This is really critical information for us to have, and we can decide how we want to package this, how we want to prioritize this. Yeah.
The pieces that are murals are technically the property of the building owners. So, funding a restoration project should be done in concert with the building owner. If the Arts Commission finds value in the mural being there, I feel like you should contribute and support the building owner, but you are not responsible for all of the financing of it.
So you're saying get the building owner to pay for it?
I'm saying that it should be a joint community effort. And that seems to be how a lot of things happen.
And of the four pieces that you showed us, that they need most, this seems to be the one that thematically it's perhaps more close to our current cultural perspective of the worlds.
Yes, I would agree. That it's the, forget how I talked about it in here, but
It seems to reflect more values to some degree.
yes, it incorporates more landscape. That seems to be something that the people in the community really respond well to. They like the idea of a natural landscape. There's a family in the foreground.
exactly.
So it's family values. It's showing like early engineering. It has the old elevator and the old suspension bridge, the old wooden suspension bridge. So it's reminiscent and romantic without being disrespectful.
Correct, exactly. So it seems from that perspective. a good pick.
I think it would be the easiest one to move forward with without having to have like a big discussion. All right, this last mural that I would like to talk about, the Ogle Mountain mural was recently painted over in the past 2 years. This is the same intersection as the Hop family photo, but it's kind of kitty corner on the other side, or is where it was. And I believe it was only there for less than 10 years. I do not know why it was painted over.
This is like which building is this? I mean, obviously it's been painted over, so is that the
Yes.
corner?
Isn't it on the building that used to be?
Which building is this?
It used to be the antique restaurant,
Yeah,
the
right.
antique store. And
Like Renee's, where that Renee's is in, the building Renee's.
I'm trying to
Around the
think if
corner.
it was
Yeah.
Renee's or not. Yeah, I think
Yeah, it is.
maybe they just
It's
didn't
the
like
same building as Renee's on Main.
I mean, it kind of looks
Yeah,
like,
it's totally gone. It's
like you
it's like a
can look at
reddish
anything.
color now.
it almost looks like it's a business or something.
so. At some point, the building was painted red, but at that point, they painted around the mural. So it was like they kept the black background of the mural and they had painted around it. I saw a version of this somewhere, and I did not include it in my slides. But so it's not like they just painted over it from the beginning. There was an attempt to preserve the mural for a certain amount of time, but just recently it was painted over. And if we go to the next slide, you'll see what it looks like now. So it's this intersection. They still have the lights there. The building, yeah. The building owner can do what they want, especially because the mural was painted before the current mural rules that we have that give some sort of, they give an easement that I think gives the city some rights, some limited rights to murals, to any new mural painted. But this wall is in good condition. My theory is that it may have been tagged and that the mural was not coated with any protective coating. But I think it would be good to reach out to the tenant and the building owner to see what the story is and why it was lost, because we do not want to lose any more in this just like random overnight way.
And I think it looks better.
Well, was the picture grainy or was that?
It looked like an advertisement, kind of. It had that look of an advertisement, but for like an old gold mine type town. Like my husband really liked it, so.
Was it grain, I mean, the photo looked a little grainy, like you couldn't see a lot of detail. Was that the painting that you couldn't see a lot of?
I think the painting did have more detail than my photo. I think my photo was grabbed from the tiny little pixelated thing that was embedded in the file. So this location, I believe, had a previous mural on it called Last Stop, which is on the bottom right-hand corner there. I don't know what happened to that one either. It's also gone. It looks like it was painted on panels. There's like a little bit of remnants of some mounting hardware or some like studs or something that are still sort of embedded in the wall, but they're not like an issue. But where?
No, I remember seeing that one.
Shouldn't
That's
we
a
be
pretty,
doing murals now? I mean, I spend most of my day in Portland, and it's like the murals in Portland are just amazing.
yeah, I
Not
agree.
to mention the stuff that the Tigers are doing. I mean, I think that the street artists are doing amazing stuff too. And it's
Yes.
like,
Agree.
I don't know, can we get some,
Some more
all
contemporary.
different, there's just so much stuff going on right now.
I agree.
I agree.
I mean, I love the
I agree.
historic stuff, but maybe we could have a little mixture.
So maybe this is an opportunity now that it's been painted over
I think
for
it's,
something more
it has lights.
contemporary and.
The lights are still there.
Yeah, the lights are still there and it's a great wall. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a great space. It would be wonderful.
Yeah.
Nice contemporary mural.
So if we go to the next slide, if you were to paint something of a similar size in the same spot, considering that it has lights there and everything, just including a protective coating. They really don't cost that much, and they can save you a lot of money in the long run.
Yeah.
On?
Are you guys ready to go on? Okay. So new murals, murals not listed, and murals destroyed. Very sad. We can go on. These are the 5 murals that were listed in the Public Works document that no longer exist. Just soak it in. A lot of these have been, or not a lot of them, one of them has been replaced. One of them has been replaced and then destroyed again. Let me know when you're. Yes. Yes. Two of them are Larry Kangas. There's one Roger Cook. I forget who the Ogle Mountain artist was, and the Prairie Women artist. That's a female artist, whose name I have it listed. I don't have it on my head, in my head. So when you're ready, we can go to the next one. So 2 of these do have studies that still exist in in storage. So if somebody got a bee in their bonnet and loved them, they could come back. Not saying that we should.
That
I'm just saying
study's
that,
pretty small. I can see your hand in there. What size is the other study around? Oh, I see your hand in there. Never mind, I got it.
yeah.
Thank you.
That's a pretty good study.
Yeah, so the Abernathy Green study, I want to say is like, what was that? That's like 2 feet by 3 feet or so. The Prairie Women study is smaller. I think it might be pastel or colored pencil, something like that. So it's a smaller piece of paper that was used. It's probably 24 inches wide.
Maybe instead of doing a new, sorry.
Oh, no, I was gonna say, we might have the same thought at the same time, actually, Emma.
Yeah.
Like, I think maybe instead of restoring some of these that have beautiful studies, maybe, I mean, the new courthouse,
Yeah, that would be great in the courthouse.
it would be great, like, we want new art in there, but this historic art would be awesome, and then we could, that's just an idea.
Yeah.
Was that kind of what you were
Exactly.
thinking?
Yeah.
Do you have somebody on that committee, the courthouse art committee?
Yeah,
There we go.
that's in the works. So that could, and then that would, maybe, oh man, if there's a bunch of stuff in the storage, we should probably go through what's in there.
Because that's a great way, to keep the historical documentation.
Yeah.
And at the same time make space for new art.
Yeah.
So here are a couple pieces that I don't know exactly if you would classify all of them as murals. But the St. John the Apostle Church mural, that is probably the largest mural in town, and it wasn't even on the Public Works document. I don't know why, other than it's a religious building, and there's separation of church and state situation. Totally understand, but it's there. And I thought I'd mention it.
That's historic too.
Yeah. It's also like, it's 90s.
Yeah.
And it's of the same, it has poetry on there that I would consider not the greatest contemporary ethical poetry. But yeah, there are a lot of pieces in town that are, I'm going to say business oriented. like the musical notes on Wally's shop, Electric Lettuce, has some really cool psychedelic decorative painting. And there's a few other places that have painted signage that kind of goes a little bit beyond signage. Little minor things like that. And if we go to the next one, here are the pieces that I consider to be like new, properly funded public art. So there's the bookshelf.
You're doing that.
Yeah, that was one of our grants when we gave a grant to Cyrus and the Party Factory.
Yeah. So yeah, the Cows and Aliens is at the old creamery building that is now the Party Factory, and now owns that building. But the White Rabbit has a new mural that was painted by Brian Crable, and that's where the old there was a old Larry Kangas mural at that spot that was called the College of History, and it was a collage of all kinds of very pioneer-y sort of vignettes. But I'm sure you're familiar with the new public restroom artwork. And I don't know if you guys have gotten to see the bookshelf artwork. So I think those have all come through here. If not the designs, some piece of them has come through here. So, yeah.
I don't think so. They're showing a very good idea. I definitely feel, this is just me, a personal opinion, just in researching my own artwork based off of Oregon City, that so much of our conversation is really just around pioneers and the founding fathers, which is great. Like, we're a historic city. That's something we hold. That's good. But it would really be nice to start to take the story of our the conversation of our story back further, and the White Rabbit mural, and also current and where we want to be. Like, we need to broaden our story. Like, I don't want us to be, like a one note, we're just the pioneer town type of thing. Like, 'cause I feel that's where the conversation is. Yeah. I think we have enough of that, and we should definitely continue to hold that and continue to preserve that. But I think moving forward in public art, the broadening the conversation is necessary.
I agree 100%.
Let cows be friends with aliens.
I love it, yeah.
Let a raccoon into your library. Maybe not that one. All right, so if you go into the next one, this did not translate at all. Sorry. I had a lovely graph.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I was wondering, like, that's a nice green zone.
That one worked just fine. But the point was that there's a lot of need. So you have 4 pieces that are in need of restoration or intervention. There's only 1 mural that has been restored, and there's 5 that have been destroyed. And that's what's listed in the Public Works document. And there are at least 6, depending on how you count, new or unlisted murals.
I have a question. Did you include the mural that's at Lauderdale, and where that has the swimmers?
The street.
And it's
in the
so
park.
Lauderdale Park has a mural on the wall of children who are swimming.
I did not include that one.
Yeah,
No.
I think it would be good to include.
Yes.
Because it represents what the park was, which was a swimming pool.
Okay.
It was the first swimming pool. And I think there's a story behind the artist as well. And as someone who had, who lived in the area and then passed away, and then her family goes and retouches it up to keep it vibrant. But anyway, so I think it should be included.
Yeah, it'd be good to include the city repair street project
Oh,
down
yeah, I
there too,
forgot
which
about
is
that.
really cool.
That's
It's just right down there at the intersection
yeah,
of,
it's 12th and 11th and Jefferson.
yeah.
11th and
Didn't one of our
Jefferson.
people here on the,
The Mandela
Yeah, right.
on the street, yeah.
I worked on that. I painted that twice.
it's really cool.
But it is kind of an interesting concept of a mural, right? It's a mural on the street.
Yeah,
So, yep, you need a permit
yeah,
for
I
it.
sure do.
That's why I said at least 6, because I was certain that I overlooked some. I was like, this, it couldn't possibly be just 6. I did not go into residential areas and look at the parks. And you're right, there are parks that have murals. That's not the only park. And I'm like, oh yeah, there's that one too. So, yeah, not an exhaustive list.
Good job, really well done though, for sure.
If you go back, I did do a little public engagement on social media to see what people thought about the murals and their current state. And this pretty much reflects more that people saw how bad off the Forbes Barclay mural was. And it's, let's fix that one, because that one looks bad. And they generally, I think, felt about the same with the other 3. Maybe with a little bit more interest in the OC Bridge mural.
So, but your recommendation with the Barclay Forbes was that that wall is in such disrepair,
Yeah,
like restoring that mural would kind of be like throwing good money after bad type of thing.
yeah.
Like,
So I don't think, when I posted this to the public, I don't think they saw how bad off the wall was. They were
Yeah.
just like, that needs to get fixed.
yeah.
Structural issues or is it?
I am not a contractor, but, yeah, it looks, as not a contractor, it looks like there's a portion of like the brick that's behind the stucco that is losing some structural stability at the base and might be tipping. And I don't know what's holding it up anymore, frankly.
And that, the onus of that is the building, whoever, is owning the building, and that's a safety issue.
Yeah.
So, is there a city department that, like, would code enforcement need to get involved and be like, hey, this is not a safe wall?
If it looks like there's a public hazard, then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we might need to just reach out to other departments of the city and just make them aware of that for sure. I would think, I don't know.
Well, and I know like Doka, they've
Yeah.
done, they did it for me.
It looked like it had been repaired once before, and it has since like doubled in the separation. Like the crack has gotten twice as big as the separation. Yeah, if that makes any kind of sense.
I mean, I haven't looked at it closely either. Do you share the concern, Kathy, that it could be a public safety issue? Is that something like, should we go down there and take pictures and call Public Works? I mean, I don't want to,
I don't want to be the person that stirs this pot. I don't want to say this looks like a public hazard because I am not a contractor. But if it is something that, I really think that it's more like, let's contact the building owner and let them know that this came to our attention, that this wall is not suitable for a mural and needs to be repaired.
Who is the owner of that building, do we know?
Probably the furniture company, I
It
think.
must
think
be
it's-
like Edge.
Home Life
Oh, is it?
Furniture?
Yeah, Home Life.
Oh, oh, yeah.
I think they own
own
that
the
whole
entire-
building.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's.
And then there are several other businesses around the backside of the
Back,
building.
yeah.
So one thing I've noticed. They don't finish their painting job. They leave a small area in the back that's the original. And is anyone aware, like, is that related to fees or permitting that would account for that? Because the majority of the buildings that get newly painted, they leave a certain area.
How interesting.
I don't know, I've always thought maybe they didn't run out of paint. Why would they?
I do know that with historical buildings, there's often you often have to leave one wall in order, like you could destroy the whole building except for one wall and still classify it as a historical building if you were building all of the walls back the way they were. But you do have to leave one wall original somewhere. And a lot of times they build they build walls around it so that it's structurally safe, if they want to be up to like earthquake code. But that could be why. It's like, well, we're not supposed to do anything with this wall anyway. We want to make sure that everybody knows we're not doing anything with this wall. Here it is.
That building there is like, so it's got the furniture store, it's like the one on 6th and Main, right? Furniture store, and then there is the woodwork store, there is that building there, I've been inside one of the businesses, and it's in a pretty bad condition, like part of the ceiling, to me, it was not a place where there should be a business inside, literally, right? It looked like dangerous inside
Yes.
some of the businesses. So I'm not surprised that the outside also is a little bit spotty.
Yeah. It's probably not up to earthquake code, I'm gonna guess.
This is off topic, but earthquake code, like Portland. Your own risk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah, and
that-
that's also for fire department. Like, there's some buildings that, historic, old buildings in Portland, that they have the U, that you sign on the outside, and that means that, it's unsafe. So like, if a fire happens, the fire department will be like, we're gonna let it burn, like, type of thing, because it's not safe for the fire department to go in, and so anyways, yeah. That's just random.
Okay.
They're like, cool. It's like, death trap. There you go.
So but I wanted to ask a question about this illustration here. So the response is based on people perspective on how in this repair, the PC is not necessarily about attachment to the piece.
I tried to word my posts in a way that's like, do you like seeing these murals in Oregon City? Here are 4 murals that need some love. Which one do you think should be fixed first? And I got mostly like this one needs to get fixed first, kind of thing.
Such bad conditions, yeah. Okay.
So I think a lot of the comments were not based on love, but were based on
Yeah.
their own
I don't think
analytics.
It's like Oregon City chit chat. Next door is like,
I know, but
Yeah, I don't get on it.
Yeah,
it's not, you gotta get.
you gotta start
information
somewhere. How else was it?
Yeah, and I do think it's helpful in displaying that it would be good to read before, if we were interested in moving forward with some sort of restoration, doing additional engagement would be important.
Yes.
Yeah.
There is guidance, people are interested in expressing their opinion. And so this gives a picture of what some people might think, but it would be important to do kind of deeper, more targeted.
I think I did also get a, like, hey, I'll come down and help, sort of engagement.
Well, it's amazing, how many murals were done in the 90s and getting, I think, local community and maybe the high school art. And techniques and
Mm-hmm.
Artist did, but I mean, it's just amazing.
Like 3 guys. Okay. Is there anything else you wanted to discuss or go back to?
I guess I had another question, and I can't necessarily recall the assignment completely, but, and maybe we would just sort of put this in a parking lot of something that would be good to do, is that it seems to me, specifically with parks, but there might be other areas where art has been installed. I just wonder if, like at that new Metro Park that's Newell Creek or whatnot, and whether or not, there was art there. There's been investment in parks recently, so I don't know how we capture when new art is installed. Maybe that's kind of a question, because we want to keep this sort of documentation a living document, right?
Yeah, I think we might need to like communicate with other departments, like city
Yeah.
departments, like Public Works and the Parks Department, and let them know like, hey, we need to know because we have
Right.
we need to make sure it's updated. So,
Put something in place that would say, regardless of which department you are, and have the same conversation with the school district and say, like, if there's some public artwork, that the Arts Commission be notified so we can catalog it, yeah.
I don't believe any of the school districts have any exterior artwork.
would it be like having the permit department flag that, like, because every mural has to go through the permit department, whether it's a church or a business, or that could be helpful too. Okay.
Well, yeah, I want to thank you for this.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed reading through this, and I still am digesting it. I think there's a lot of really great information here, and I think that as the Arts Commission, I think we've done a good job of starting with the baseline, so we do know. I mean, I think it was really important to create a baseline, and so I want to thank you. For my perspective, this is a really good work that you've done.
I only apologize
amazing.
that it's like 70 pages, so.
You're great. That's wonderful.
And I do think we should continue the conversation. We do have a little bit of money that has been set aside. In fact, I asked someone in finance this afternoon what the dollar amount was, and I will report back to you. James thinks it's $23,000. I thought it would, yeah, so,
I'm sorry, can I get a quick question? Do we have a copy of that report?
yes.
Okay, that's
Yeah, and it,
Also a copy of the presentation.
nice.
yeah, I put it on the, I had a hard time emailing it to folks because of its size. It is on our shared OneDrive, so you should be able to open it up on the OneDrive.
You're
Yeah.
you're saying we have 23,000 for restoration?
Well, I actually need to confirm the number, Emma. Yeah, so we do have some dollars. We can obviously grow that amount, like you were saying, just in her preliminary numbers in this study, it's over, like, if you add it all up, it's gonna far exceed what we have.
Right.
So I think the process of identifying our priorities and then understanding what the deficit, how much more money do we need, I think, that's a topic we need to have.
All right.
Okay, so let's move on to our discussion items. First item up for discussion is 7th Street sculpture RFP status.
Well, I put this on tonight's topic for discussion just because I wanted to let folks know we've only received one proposal.
Really?
And,
At least we got one.
Is it next month's meeting when we're supposed to pick one?
so
Interesting.
I think, I did get a list of artists from Happy Valley, and that's how it got generated. So the person who did reach out to us is an artist that's based in Lake Oswego, and he did have some ideas and then somebody else was like, well, I'm going to send one. I'm like, that's great. We'll look forward to receiving it, but I haven't actually gotten it. So I wanted to ask for people's input on how we can spread the word about this project.
So I'm finding it hard to share and spread the word because I can't point people to a place, which kind of leads us to number two. If we had an actual place where I could say, hey, go here, I could get that out so much easier.
Yeah.
It's very hard for me to be able to say, hey, there's this great opportunity, DM me and I'll send you the information. That's not how people that's not how they're gonna act on it.
Yeah, especially because like we can do it through social media, right? But you do need to have a link.
Yeah.
Well,
So that's been the biggest barrier for me personally.
City, though, they have for other services, we'll say geotechnical, because that's what I'm familiar with, they'll have a RFQ on their website for companies to apply. They had it a couple months ago. So it would be beneficial maybe if it was listed in that same type of formatting.
Yeah, well, maybe we could jump down to number 2 and then jump back to number 1.
And I just want to say, I think the problem with number one, it's not so much about getting the word out. I just don't think it's enough money. I mean, I know that we think we could do it, but it's like, I don't know.
$20,000
I think it's
is
just
not a lot of money.
it's just not enough money.
I second that. I've done some public installation and also worked with groups, and it is a really low number, especially if you're going to want to create something that might offer seating or, have lighting or something like that, that makes it a little bit more interactive piece. 20,000 is not enough.
I hear both things really loud and clear. Maybe we want to discuss both. I do want to think about, I think in the short term, like this week, I can work with our communications team and get something up onto the website just so that there is a link that I can share to people, and can do that in the next couple of days. So I will do that. But then I do want to also talk about other things we can put on the website, like we started to talk about a little bit at the retreat.
And we have, where all do we have this call listed? Just out of curiosity. Like, I feel like you've answered this question a bunch of times. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and maybe I
ask
send
every
it out
week.
again, but so we have a short list, and I can share it with everybody. So we send it to TRAG, we send it to you at Soul Flags. There's a couple of other artists in Clackamas County. We send it to Clackamas County, Diane Alves group, Clackamas County Arts.
I saw it in that
organization.
newsletter.
Yeah.
There wasn't like a link to click
go
on and
to.
go back.
That's a
Yeah.
problem. And then, where else? Anywhere else? Is it on
And then,
RAC?
and then.
It's on rack. Yeah,
Okay.
And we did send it to RAC. And I have a list of another maybe 40 artists from the Happy Valley, from a colleague at Happy Valley. So that's Clackamas County artists.
Okay.
But yeah, I think so we definitely need to do more outreach. I do think you're right. The other issue is the size of the budget is an issue.
Yeah.
But I do feel like we do need to do more outreach too.
Yep.
Do we ever use the call for entry, the cafe listing? Do we ever do that? Or Coda Works?
Cafe call for entry it's not free
I
to do it.
know.
But like, we would need a budget but that is a good, like a lot of public art calls are on
Like
cafe call for entry.
PDX, almost all of their
Yeah.
public art calls are on there.
Yeah,
But you're right, it's not free.
but that is a place where, national, like you can find people from everywhere, all over the nation. And with sculpture, I think sculpture's is more specialized nowadays. Sculpture is not a super accessible financially art form for people to be doing it out of their home studios and things like that. So, yeah, we are probably choosing from a smaller pool of artists, like,
May I ask you to repeat what you said, that there's a cost to register? I just don't know what that is.
oh, for Cafe Call for Entry?
Yeah.
cafecallforentry.org. I'm not sure how much it costs. I spoke with Tammy about Art in Oregon, posting on that, and she talked to, yeah. But I know it costs money for the organization to post on that. But we can look into how much it costs and see if it's something that it might not be, it might be like $100, and we're like, yeah, sure, that's no problem, so.
I'd be happy to look into that.
Okay.
Look into that, and also I've been a member of Coda Works, and they do a lot of like national public art calls. I think it was $150 for membership to be able to post, but that was several years ago, before the pandemic. So I can look that up and get that for you guys.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, that would be helpful. I did have one person say to me, I see that there's a preference for Clackamas County artists, should I apply? And I said, well, of course you should apply. I mean, that's just one inquiry, but I did not receive a follow-up to that.
Yeah. Maybe we should take that out.
I'm not saying we should change.
We might not have enough artists that do sculpture in the area. We might be like, yeah, this is open to anyone. I know as an artist too, like when it's a lot of effort to apply to something. And the chances of you getting that gig are pretty slim. It's very competitive. So if you're gonna spend all that time and energy to apply for something that's an unpaid situation for you, like, if there's anything on there that would be like, oh, that's not the right fit for me, like, we're looking for, anytime I see a call that's like, we want local artists only, or we're looking for this area artists, like, that's kind of like, I'm not gonna waste my time, they're gonna prefer those people over me. So I think we should consider taking that out, for real. So,
Thoughts on that? All righty, well, thank you. I am gonna try to get something out, and so that I can get, like you're saying, it's kind of silly that there isn't a link or something where we can refer this. So I'll get on that right away. And I'll also follow up with you, Daria, and Rebecca about other content that we want to put on the website. So thank you for offering to help me with that.
Yep.
Yeah. All right.
So does that cover?
I think it does. With 2 minutes remaining, I think it does.
I really want to get to item 3. Because I have some cool updates, so.
Item 3.
Okay, so one of the things at our planning session that was proposed, and it's a thought I've also had, was that, I think Josh put it out there, that with the arts and culture center, we're thinking about like a place that we're gonna be long-term, we're just moving into. But if we could find a place that would be a short-term place to just start, we would have community engagement, for sure. We would have visibility of things that we are doing in the community. We would have, we'd have data to prove to the city when we go to them for money to either renovate something permanent or build something permanent. We'd be like, hey, look at all the involvement the community, is interacting with this. This is the people we're serving. This is how we've used this. So one opportunity is actually, Trias and I met with the Baptist church that I rent a studio out of, because there's it's a large building. It's a historic building that's very underused. It has a dwindling congregation, aging congregation. So there's, for start, there's a possibility to use the sanctuary, which holds 200 to 275 people comfortably for performances. It has a full sound system. It has a stage. And so that's a place where we would like to start, just booking performances with that. And then there's potential to have classrooms to teach art lessons in, dance lessons, have activities, hold poetry readings, like smaller events. In two really large and nice rooms in their basement, which their basement has windows and everything. It's not like a basement. And there's also a room that could be used as an office for if we wanted to be there in a longer term, like a few years. There's a potential we could have our own entrance with a sign saying Art Center here. So the church is highly motivated to interact with the community in this way. They're highly motivated to support the arts. And so right now where they're at is they need a little more time to see the feasibility of it as they need to present it to the board. You know, we only had a short window to talk to. It's looking promising that we could start booking soon. They would charge, they just came up with this number, I think it's negotiable. They're like $175 an hour for rental, but that also includes paying a sound person, paying somebody to clean janitorial services, and paying somebody to be there to lock up. And so some of those things we could possibly provide depending on who's organizing the performance. Like, you know, is it the Children's Theater that's renting it for performance, you know, things like that. So anyway, so I just wanted to let you guys know all that stuff and hear your thoughts. And
I have a quick question. So,
I know it's 8:30 if people need to move on, but I'm happy to go a few minutes over to continue the conversation, but I know a few folks had some time constraints.
I just have a quick question. So $175 per hour, meaning that basically the idea would be at the beginning to rent it when there is an activity versus having that place being a permanent location. You know what I mean? The
yeah,
difference, you know, in
I
terms
think a
of.
starting point would be having performances. Like we've talked about the idea of the Arts Commission hosting a Battle of the Bands because we're wanting more music. So us hosting events there,
I see.
so type of thing.
So basically, it would be the brand exists, gets housed there, paid by the hour. In the
Yeah.
meantime, you build up the brand, and then it
Yeah.
actually gets its own
Yeah.
house.
So
Okay,
yeah,
makes sense. Yeah, thank you.
so
I just have questions on city things being at church and the church
oh yeah,
thing.
That's a good
my
point.
only concern.
Yeah.
yep.
I mean,
That's a good point.
I think that
The
anything,
Pioneer Community Center is a valid location, but the stage is small.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that anything that the community does for arts is good. I mean, I'm not sure what to say about it because it's just, I'm not sure what to say. I mean, it seems like the group is kind of a shifting group of people, and the goal is kind of a shifting goal. I mean, we have several performance spaces in town, but it'd be great to have another one.
Yeah.
And to call it something.
Yeah.
Sure. And it sounds like you do art there.
I do, yeah. My studio's out of there, so. And I mean, I've hosted art events. They also have a gymnasium that could have potential use. I had a art, like a little art fair. Like I had a couple other artists, like on a Saturday, on a weekend. I did the open studios out of there this year, so.
And there'd be a way to segregate it so that it would be pretty clear, this is the art space and this is the devotional space.
Well,
Even if it were the same space, you could clearly say this is being put on by the Oregon City Arts Commission
Yes.
and not being put on by this faith
correct, yeah,
community.
yeah, we would, yeah.
Are there any more updates with the school, the school district? We should be there consistently
Yeah.
to discuss them.
I know that Trieste
Providing,
and Josh went to like
Yeah.
a recent one.
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know. I think you're right, like just getting, I think we need to have more, I don't think it's a conclusive no. Yeah. Well, thanks, choir. I think we need to just keep exploring options and, yeah.
Is there more that we can do to support you in pursuing this idea, choir?
Oh, that's a really good question. I think, yeah, I think, I mean, Trius and I, like, whoa, that's I'm not sure is the answer, but thank you for,
I'll just
yeah,
keep us
putting it out there.
updated.
Yeah, we'll keep you updated. All right.
Well, thank you. Thank you for looking into that. Do we have any further communications? Still. All right, well, 8:35, we're gonna adjourn. Thank you.
All right, thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just a nice